welcome to the Miller Life Kitchen. Today we are canning meatballs. Everything meatballs today. So I am doing venison meatballs, but I am using venison and I'm adding in some ground beef and also some ground pork. That will give the lean venison a little bit of fat. So I also wanted to share, better than bouillon, I found that they have new flavors. They have sofrito, Italian herb, and adobo, and there was another one, but I didn't get that one. I think there were 4, and it's called their culinary collection. That sounds so fancy. But anyway, I am going to be making my meatballs in broth today. So I am going to I'm going to try the Italian herb for a couple jars, and I am going to do the adobo for a few jars. And I may just do a couple plain beef. But that I think would give them nice flavor. You'll see when I make the meatballs, I am not using a lot of herbs. That way, a lot of flavor. I'm doing your basic, garlic, onion, parsley, trying to think what else I put it there, and veg powder for my binder. No eggs, no breadcrumbs, because we are canning them. However, I did a whole batch yesterday, and these are my freezer banking meatballs for the holidays. These do have eggs, and they do have panko breadcrumbs. But what I do is I cook them all the way in the oven. Then I cool them down and freeze them. And then when I have little get-togethers or whatever during the holidays, I could pop a bag of these out, throw them in the crock pot with some stuff, and I've got meatballs, easy breezy, but they are homemade. I also wanted to share with you, if any of you canning friends love 1.5 jars, they are back. I've been keeping my eyes peeled for these guys. I love my 1.5 jars. I have loads of them, but you can never have too many of these. I have a family of 3 that live here, and sometimes a pint's not enough, but sometimes a quart's too much. And I'm going to be canning our meatballs in these guys today, because I think that's perfect for opening meatballs. Sometimes a quart of meatballs, if you're just doing spaghetti for 3 people, you don't need a whole quart of them. But anyway, without further ado, so let's get canning some meatballs today. Okay, so I'm using some of my dehydrated veg. I just get the big frozen bags and dehydrate them. I'm making powder. This is going to be a filler for when I make my meatballs, because you don't want to use any breadcrumbs or anything because you're canning. So I'm going to just make up maybe, there it is. Look at, beautiful. Now I don't know that I'll need all of this for my meatballs, but whatever's left, I'll just put it in a mason jar and have it for something else. Here is my venison, beef, and ground pork. The reason I'm adding some beef and some pork to the meat is venison is very lean, so this will give it some moistness to keep the meatballs nice and moist. Now, I'm gonna mix this up, and then we're going to be baking it in the oven. Now, I'm not gonna add a whole bunch of ingredients to my meat, because when I cook them, that's when I flavor. So I'm gonna do some salt. This is kosher salt, because again, with canning, you don't wanna use iodized salt. I don't really measure. Some garlic powder. I don't know, let's say maybe two teaspoons, tablespoon. I do like garlic, so it does not bother me if I have too much. Then I am using dehydrated onions. These are the Augustin Farm ones, or they're freeze-dried actually. I love these. This is all dry ingredients. It's because of not being able to use panko flakes. This is going to be part of my binder. And some of my garden parsley that I have. This is dehydrated. This is from my garden containers that I have on my deck. And then I'm gonna mix it together and see how much of this I need. I'm gonna put some of that in a bowl separately because I will touch it with hopefully not too bad of a... I'm gonna see where we're at and then add the veg powder. All right, let me wash my hands. I'll be right back. Okay, let's get mixing. Oh, let me make sure my sleeve's up. Yuck. Now, I'm gonna do this hopefully with one hand. Now, you're not gonna wanna be using eggs or breadcrumbs in this. That's why I have the veg powder. That's gonna be part of my binder. So I had the freeze-dried onions are in here. And then we have our flavorings, which I didn't do a whole lot because I like to use different flavors when I make them. I did a batch yesterday and I did same meats. I did venison, pork, and beef. But since I was doing freezer meatballs, not canning meatballs, I did add breadcrumbs and eggs. But I'm not gonna do that for this because we are canning these guys. So yes, this needs some binder. Let's see here. We're gonna go with that. It's one way to get veg in there for the kids, huh? Ooh, it smells good. This one hand, it's too much meat. Now, we are going to be cooking these in the oven. Not all the way. About 20 minutes. Just so they're kind of firmed up. And I'm actually going to put all of this veg powder in here. You could use mushroom powder, which I debated on that. I have mushrooms too, but I thought, ooh, I am going to do veg powder. I exercised today with meat. All right, let me clean this up because I got a little bit on the countertop. That's gross. And wipe this up good. Sterilize my counter. Then we're gonna be getting to making the meatballs. 10 more gloves. Just hate meat on my hands. I don't have crazy long fingernails, but they're just long enough that I don't want that mess under my nails. Okay. They are. I'm gonna put these in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes. See where they're at. I'll be back when the meatballs are getting going, and I'm gonna get my canning stuff together while they are cooking. Here are the par cooked meatballs. You can see they are not entirely cooked because we're gonna be canning them, so just wanted to kind of firm them up. And they smell great, looking good. All right, let's get them in some jars. Okay, here we are getting them in the jars. You want to finagle these that you get them in, not packed very, very tightly, but that you can get them in the jars if they fit pretty well. You'll see that I do tap them down a little bit just to make sure I can get as many as I can in without squishing them. Then I'm going to put in my adobo, better than bouillon. I did about a half a teaspoon, maybe even just a quarter. I just took a regular teaspoon out of my drawer, added my hot water, and debubble very carefully so you don't make your meatballs no longer a meatball. So that's it. Wipe your rims, put on your lid, and your ring. Into the canner it goes. Here they are, 7.5 pint jars of venison, pork, and beef meatballs. I am going to be putting my lid on. I am going to vent it for 10 minutes. And then we are going to process for quart times of 90 minutes because they are a 1.5 pint jar. And then I'm going to bring it back down to 0 pressure and get them out. Stay tuned for some recipes with my meatballs. But thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you again next time at the Miller Life Kitchen. Bye.